Hello and welcome to another Blues focused match preview. Apologies that there have been no match previews ahead of the games against Bristol Rovers and Barnsley. To be honest, this wasn't down to issues on our end, it was just an issue with sourcing the guests in the end. But thankfully, we managed to win both of those games, and that has put us in a really good position now in order to try and get promotion sealed before the cup final as we face Peterborough United in a dress rehearsal of the cup final at their place. And 3 points on Tuesday would mean that we would be able to mathematically secure promotion. So that would be a great achievement. And coming off the back as well of a 6-2 victory against Barnsley, a fantastic victory for Blues with an array of different goal scorers as well, as we saw Jay Stansfield convert from the spot and then Alfie May coming off the bench to get a couple of goals, as well as goals from Luke Harris and Lukas Jukovic, with Kieran Dow also chipping in with a goal as well. So a variety of different goal scorers, a really positive performance, and this does, as I said, put us in good stead ahead of this game against Peterborough United, who themselves have had a bit of a renaissance. They dragged themselves far away from relegation picture, but they did actually lose their last game against Northampton Town in a shock 4-0 defeat at home. And this is one of those games that you look at from a Birmingham perspective and go, oh, well, the next game against them should be easy because we scored 6 and they conceded 4. But obviously football very rarely works out like that, doesn't it? So nevertheless, I imagine it's going to be a tough game, as was the game at St Andrews against Peterborough, as they scored 2 goals against us on that day, but we came out 3-2 victors with, coming back from 2 goals down. And that, I think, was the first showcase this season of this newfound character amongst the squad. And if we can show that character in this next game, then I'm sure we are going to pick up 3 points and hopefully secure promotion. But it'll be a good away turnout as well, as we have found out that 1,600 extra tickets have been given to Blues fans courtesy of Barry Fry. So that's fantastic to see. So there'll be a good atmosphere in the away end like there was in the home end against Barnsley. And I'm going to go for a 3-1 score prediction for Blues in the end as well. I know I said 2-1 on the preview that I was speaking with Tommy and Zach about, but going to go with 3-1 now, just because I'm really sort of in this mood and, atmosphere around the club. You can't help but get carried away by it. So I'm going to go with a 3-1 victory. And we spoke to Rob from the Hard Truth podcast to get the lowdown on their side of things, because, it's from a Peterborough perspective, they're looking to retain the Virtue Trophy and, try and get as many points now to get themselves into the top half of League One. I'm sure that's going to be their aim between now and the end of the season. So we'll speak a bit more to Rob about their expectations for this season, what they think about Tuesday, and also what they think about the Virtue Trophy final too. So ahead of Tuesday's trip to Peterborough, we are joined by Rob from the Hard Truth podcast. How you doing, Rob?
Yeah, not too bad. I think, like I said before we come on, I wish we'd recorded this on Friday. I would have been in much better spirits after our result of the weekend. But no, things are good. Thanks. Nice to catch up with you, Sam.
Yeah, nice to be able to speak to you. And as I was saying, like as I said before we hit record, that I was really looking at Peterborough's results in the build up to the final, and it looked like for a while that you guys have really hit a run of form, dragged yourself away from that relegation battle. But then the last time you guys played, it was that 4-0 loss against Northampton. I think you summed it up pretty well. Everything that could have went wrong did go wrong.
It was just, yeah, like I said before the game, and like I said, we have gone on a recent run. Like I said, listen, the table doesn't lie. It's been a really, considering we, in the playoffs last year, all right, yes, we sell players because we've got to, because of who we are and the side. We don't have the big crowds and things, but we've got the recruits in. You're quite confident in what happens in terms of recruit, but it just hasn't clicked, if you know what I mean. But it's so inconsistent. And like I said, the table doesn't lie. We were at one point 3 points off relegation. And as much as not to sound, after time, I was never worried thinking, but end of the day, you points when you're there. And all of a sudden, when I went to Huddersfield, did not expect anything. That was before Huddersfield started magic. Good win there. And like I said, who we beat in this run? We beat Charlton, who were top of the form group. We drew against Blackpool, should have won. Wickham, to be fair, they came back at our place. We were 1-0 up and probably could have seen it out. But to be fair, they've got the guy up front, Kona, who looks class. He's probably, him and your guy Stansfield, probably the 2 best centre forwards I've seen live this year. So, and then, just Saturday was an absolute, without me swearing, an SH show. It really was. It's just that, like I said, the first, we gave away a penalty. Then our fullback, who's Tayo's done really well. Unlike he would have been cup tied for the final against you guys. But yeah, he got sent off because he threw a punch at somebody, and then just the goals is just like. And then we were 3-0. We never really got going, and then the last one they brought a guy on. I can't remember who he played for. Tom Eaves, I think his name is. Probably about 6'5" and that. and you think, well, he's going to be your focal point on a free kick. And he had a free header, 4-0, and they could have had 6. No joke. In fact, and I'm not doing a disservice. They weren't brilliant. It's just we were everything that could have gone wrong, and the manager got really annoyed. He changed like 3 at half time, and you expect that. It didn't really work, and we didn't get a reaction. But roll on Tuesday and Sunday.
Because it's been like a strange season for Peterborough, isn't it? Because I associate you guys with being like right up there within the playoff mix and having won the Virtue Trophy last season. Darren Ferguson, someone that's very experienced Peterborough manager, yet it hasn't really gone to plan. And I think I remember hearing a quote from Ferguson earlier on this season saying that this group of players is the softest squad he's managed. So I don't know if that's something that you agree with or not, but it's certainly not really gone to plan this season, is it?
Yeah, and I think in terms of he might have said that I think he was getting cheesed off like a lot of us, and you can imagine the fan base. If you're a team that were in the playoffs last year, you expect to at least be there again and that. But yeah, like I said, I think that was post the Lincoln game, and we've signed Sam Hughes from Stockport in the centre half and that, and he is kind of your old school, quite grit, quite tough. He's a talker, he's a leader, and I think we have lacked a bit of that. We've got a young squad. We'll always have young players and that. People talk about experience. We have Jed Steer. He kind of went out of the fold, but since he's come back, bar Saturday, he was terrible. But he's kind of been very much in terms of quite vocal and that. So yeah, there's bits of that, but it's just been a combination of like we signed the guy who's a really good player from Crewe, the fullback Rio, and he's been injured a couple of times, and then he's not played a game. And like I said, we've signed some other players that didn't come off. The guy at the minute in form, I think last time we spoke about the game at your place, I was talking about Kwame Poku. He's been injured for a long time, and we just can't absorb that. And it's been the manager, because he's not got a tune, I think, just my personal perspective, is there's been a lot of changes in like the centre-half partnerships, and we've probably in this run is the only time where we've had quite a consistent team, and they've played well, and all of a sudden players have started to click, and Abraham Odu, who looked like he's just not good enough to, brutally honest, I was one of them who said that. He's only a small guy, but you just think he was good enough. But all of a sudden he's come out. I don't know if the game at Crawley before the Northampton, he got a hat trick, and he's really showing some class. And we've got some nice little partnerships and things going. But this, you say, it's been disappointing. No lie about it. We, as much as we're only little old Peterborough, we in this division, third division, League One, we expect to be playoffs. I think we were never looking at the top ones like to win the league, because with all due respect, we've got yourselves, we've got Wrexham, and you've got big hitters in terms of spenders like Stockport. Huddersfield have got the backing. You've got Bolton, Charlton. You're talking ex-Premier League clubs. So we wanted to be in that playoff mix. But maybe with this current run, if we had another, 10 games of the season, we might, go on a run. You never know. Put it because the form we've been on, but we've left it too late, obviously. So I think might be harsh, but it's been disappointing, if I'm honest.
Because I feel like Peterborough's transfer policy is really interesting in the way that you guys obviously buy from non-league and you very much like nurture players into becoming like top players in the English leagues. And when you get big fees for players, it's not exactly reinvested straight away, is it? So I suppose is this season one of them seasons when the fans have possibly been thinking, well, maybe we could push the boat out a bit more in the transfer windows?
Yeah, but like I said, look, it's not Football Manager like we've played, where you get 5 million in and 5 million goes out to transfer. The club, we're competitive, but we've got to run at a loss because we've only got crowds. Now we're getting the 9,000-10,000s, but in terms of wages and that, it's okay saying push the boat out. But let's say we have a season like this season, it doesn't go well, then all of a sudden, I know fans don't want to think finances and things, but we've got to run a steady ship. We can't pay the wages that you guys pay because if you can guarantee you're going to be top, then fair enough. You think, you go promotion and it goes well. But yeah, we say push the boat. It's like anything in football. When it's not going well, you need someone to blame. So the chairman's copped a lot about the recruitment. But, we've got Harrison Burrows. Look at what he's doing at Sheffield United if you watch the Championship. You've got Ephraim Mason-Clark, who's doing well at Coventry. I think he dropped off recently. But they got stick when they first come here. So I think the problem is that when we've recruited, people have probably the club probably expected them to hit the ground running, but it just hasn't worked like that. It's really took a while. And like I said, 3 of our back 4 sold. That, doesn't help in terms of that fluidity or continuity. But, with Peterborough United, as much as, I love the club and everything like that, if the Championship club comes in, we can't refuse offers because, agents involved, a player can probably get 3-4 times what he's earning. We're going to sell him on. And it's been reinvested in that. But like I said, I don't think like for like there's some debt at the club. Obviously, they want to clear and things. But push the boat out, I don't know. I think it's not necessarily the transfer fees. I think we pay quite decent transfer fees because of the reputation. It'll be the wages, I imagine. But like I said, this is speculating from the outside looking in. So yeah, fans have had a dig about recruitment, but look, when a season's not gone well, they've got to pin on something. I think some people, you get a very minority probably blaming the manager, but for me, Darren Ferguson, I've been, Peterborough United support for 35 years and stuff. He's played the best football, one off season. Personally, for me, I could grant him. I think next year we've seen some potential. It's not guaranteed, but I think we can have a go next season in terms of trying to get back up there.
And you said, like, a lot of this stuff that goes on within the board, it goes way over our heads, doesn't it? But one person that's been very vocal from Peterborough's board about Birmingham is Barry Fryer, hence why we have got an additional 1,600 tickets for the game against you guys on Tuesday. And in terms of his character, what can you say about him and his impact on Peterborough?
Yeah, he's part of the furniture that we, like you said, Barry is. It's not always been plain sailing here, to be honest with you. He came here a bit like yourselves. I think when he came to manage you, he said he's going to get you out of the division. He got you relegated the first year, but then obviously he came back up.
That is the famous quote, yeah.
That is the famous quote. And I think he did the same with us, and there was he bought the club after, and there's a lot of turmoil and things that come out in the press. But, he's been good for the club in terms of, people associate Barry Fry, as much as there's that Birmingham connection where he started prominent, they probably think of him more as Peterborough now than Birmingham, if I'm honest. But like I said, with this game and the EFL Trophy final, the Virtue Trophy final coming up, it's like El Basico, as someone's called it, told me what it's going to be called. So fitting send-off, I think he's 80, coming up this week or something. So yeah, hopefully, like I said, I think it could be chalk and cheese. We've got the Tuesday game in the league, haven't we, at our place where you guys were talking before we went to record that you can seal promotion. And like I said, we've got some players. The fullback, I think, suspended, and the centre half I spoke about would have been cup tied anyway. So whether I'm trying to just play it down in terms of what happens Tuesdays, I think there'll be two different games. You're talking Wembley, big pitch. The crowd. I think you've sold 48,000. What someone was telling me. I think we've sold close to 18, 20,000, which is good for us. But it's going to be packed, and I'll be there. You going to be there?
Yes, I will be there.
Definitely. So we can say hello before, but then don't talk to each other after the
game. Yeah, exactly. And I suppose when you think about the fixture at the start of the season as well, I think Birmingham were a different outfit then, and I think we were still trying to figure ourselves out with Peacock Farrell being the starting goalkeeper for us then, and it was a bit of a howler, resulted in you guys taking the lead.
He's not your keeper now, no?
No, Ryan Allsop's the goalkeeper now. So we've made some changes at the back, and I don't think Ben Davies was starting at the back for us then. So it's a changed outfit, and I don't know if it's the same for you guys, for better or for worse. But I remember that game that we played against you at the start of the season. You went 2-0 up, and you did give us a good game.
We come out the traps, didn't we? Listen, there's a massive mistake for the goalkeeper. Then the centre half scored the goal, Fernandez and stuff, and we gave a really good account of. But the minute I think Joe Stanfield, scored the first one, or set up the first one, and then all of a sudden the crowd kind of got up, and then the second one, and it was the third one. If I remember rightly, it was a deflected goal. But we went toe to toe, and I must admit I was there and speak to a few Birmingham fans. They were all very complimentary, which is easy when you've won a game. But listen, at this level, regardless of the name, like I said when I said Birmingham Rex, I fancy us against anybody. Don't get me wrong, you are the elite. The league table doesn't lie, and the points you're going to accumulate, you're going to get promoted. You might seal it Tuesday, but yeah, I fancy us attacking wise. Listen, people go bang on. Yes, we conceded a lot of goals. I think the stats will be probably the highest conceded or one of them, but we've never really been that team to kind of shut teams out. We've always outscored teams. But again, like I said, when things aren't going well or your attacking nous isn't there, people are going to highlight, how frailty. But we've been a bit solid since we've been some changes, and we got a couple of recruits in. We have been a bit more solid, apart from Saturday.
Yeah, because when I think about Peterborough, they're a team that perhaps are not the most solid at the back, but you always pose threats going forward with the likes of Mothersill and Poku and Jay Jones, and you've definitely got them players that can cause problems. And we've seen as well with Birmingham games this season, there have been two approaches from teams where they've either gone man for man with us and not allowed us the space and time, or they've gone with the low block and they've said, right, you've got to try and break down our defence. So from what you've seen from Peterborough this season, which of those two approaches do you think will happen?
I think we'll go for it, if you know what I mean. Heck, you don't want to be kamikaze, because if you end up, 2 or 3 down or something like that, then it could be anything, couldn't it? So it's kind of, we're very much that kind of, a bit like you guys and from your managers come from, Spurs and stuff, with that ball retention, kind of beat the press. Even Northampton the weekend, the way we started the game, it was probably only 10 minutes, but they kind of pressed high into us, because obviously we want the ball at the back and trying to nick it off us, pressure us. But a couple of times, even the first half, we beat that press, then bang, we were into their back, and we probably should have scored. But when that kind of fizzled out and the sending off, it went. But we can't do that low block. It's not us. It's not in the DNA. I'm not. It'd be nice to be solid, and if you had them characters, you were that kind of setup. But no, I think, like I said, I know they're near the bottom. You played like a Shrewsbury, I think, recently, and I saw that as like a 9 at the back, wasn't it? If you know, we'll never be that team, and it'd be pointless because, listen, could you see it out in the end? It might work, but like I said, we've got the attacking talent, and like I said, it's football's, as much as we want the high possession. As I'm saying this to our brother I go games with, it's moments change games. It's all right if someone has the pressure on the ball because we've had the possession, but then another team scores, and all of a sudden, like what happened at the start of the year is that kind of we went in our shell. We weren't kind of confident in terms of knocking it around the back or trying to beat the press, as they say. So, and going back to your question, I doubt we'll be a low block. It won't be kamikaze because Darren, he'll do his homework and he's astute manager at this level. But I think, like I said, I'm looking forward to Tuesday as well. As much as Sunday is the showpiece now, I'm looking forward to Tuesday game because you'll sold out your away allocation and that it'll be decent. And our crowds have been up this year. So, like I said, it's nice to have this final coming up because it's kind of kept our season alive. Otherwise, it would have been a bit of a damp squib, get enough points away from relegation, which I think we've more or less done. I think another win would do it. We'd be post 50 points. But at least we've got the final to look forward to and a stellar game against you guys.
And in terms of like the team news as well, you said there that your season now is hinging on that cup final. So with no like promotion or relegation to play for, could we see a lot of wholesale changes, or will it be just a case of Darren Ferguson picking the best team to try and win the game on Tuesday?
I don't know. I think he might try and manage it in terms of, will we see the best players? If anybody's carrying knocks, of course, speaking on, they're probably not going to take risks. Like I said, Teo, I can't remember saying, but the fullback who got sent off, he was cup tied anyway. But I don't know if he had a sending off recently against Cairo, so I don't know if his suspension kicks in. He would have played. Sam Hughes has been injured recently, so whether he makes it or not, he would have played because he can't play on Sunday. So rest of the team, for me, I'd play them. Why not? Yes, you can risk an injury, and like you said, it's all in that, but it could happen in training. That's the way I look at it. So I don't know is my honest answer. Will he change, or I don't see the point in resting because you're going to be up for it because you win, you get promoted, right? So why, let's make it an entertaining game. Of course we want to win. We still want to finish the season strong. As much as I say nothing to play for, we want to finish that season strong. So it kind of gives that, hope isn't the right word, but gives us that kind of bit of confidence. This run isn't just a one-off when maybe teams are on the beach, if that makes sense.
And just speaking about some of like Peterborough's players as well, like you said there, there's still something to play for in the season. I imagine that, with a lot of teams up and down the Football League, there's wholesale changes, isn't there, within the summer transfer window where a lot of players depart and a lot of players move around and that. And with Kwame Poku's situation, what's it like with his contract? Because I believe it runs out at the end of the season, doesn't it?
He'll be gone, put it that way. I think the club, because of his age, they'll still get compensation as long as he doesn't move abroad. So I think I'll be shocked if your guys are not in for him because he can cut it in the Championship. Like I said, he's a bit like an Ephraim Mason-Clark kind of had a quicker trajectory to get because he was a stellar player last year. But Kwame Poku, he's got to that level. He is our talisman. Like I said, the game at your place, I don't think he did that much, if I'm brutally honest, that 3-2. It was more some of the other players. But yeah, when he gets the ball, he's exciting. Like I said, we've got him. Ricky J. Jones is going to be off as well. He's out of contract, but he's very much Marmite with a fan base. He's brilliant up front pressing, and he's a worker. And that is he that instinctive centre forward? Not quite. For me, he's more of an outside forward, and that's not knocking the guy. But you can see he's got pace to burn, as you saw. Well, you saw with the goalkeeper. I know it was a goalkeeper mistake, but he come out of nowhere. I imagine your goalkeeper thought he had a lot more time than what he did. So I imagine he'll play. Like I said, it just doesn't give you any rest. And then some of the other players, we've got midfield, our captain Hector Cipriani. He's going to be off, another one. Unfortunately, we've got a couple that are, if you don't sign contracts and they don't sell them, then, they see out their contracts. So he's been good. Like I said, he's had a poor season, but during this run, all of a sudden, some of the players who had poor seasons have come back into it. So, as I said, Jed Steers, a goalkeeper, he'll still be with us. He's come back into form. He's been a real calming influence, quite vocal because he's the older head, whereas it's quite a young team. Unfortunately, Sam Hughes will be cup tied, the centre half we've got on loan from Stockport, because he has been a real leader, real talker, head anything that comes out of the air, one of them centre halves, if you know what I mean. I'm not saying he can't play with the ball, but yeah, in terms of our players, like I said, we've got the danger of, like I said, who'll probably play choosing the final, Kwame Poku, Ricky J. Jones. Like I said, we've got Abraham Odu, who's all of a sudden come out of nowhere. He's been with us at the start of the end. He shows some nice touches, but he just confidence is a funny thing in football. And no, he's really, like I said, hat trick. Didn't do anything sadly, but he wasn't the only one. But in this run, he really has just the confidence to take on a man, another tricky winger who we think could do something for us, for next season, hopefully.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for your time and your insight, Rob. I'm sure plenty of Blues fans will be scouring around, looking at Peterborough stories and websites to find out more about the opposition for the next two games. So, in terms of your guys' content throughout the next week, what content have you got coming out in the build up to the final? And where can we find you on social media?
Well, like I said, I'm behind the scenes in terms of the Hard Truth podcast. It's with Darren and Bradford fan Phil. Phil's very happy that we're with Bradford top of the league and probably going to be playing us in League One next year. So we're a Hard Truth pod. We're, like I said, on X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I don't know if anything come out this week because Darren's based abroad, but he's back. And I think this week, obviously, with the game, the build up to Wembley, I think even Sunday, because I'm going to be at the game. I said, I might be able to catch you, but he'll be busy with Sky and stuff like that. So it's a very busy build up. I imagine there's kind of every man and his dog asking for tickets, even at this late stage. So, yeah, we might, like I said, if we get some content out, and I appreciate the support from you guys and stuff, and I always follow your stuff. I find that when you react with, link up with other guys that you look at things and going through and see your podcast and stuff. It's good to see your content pushing out, but it's a one season stay at League One, which you'll probably be pleased about.
Well, it's been an opportunity to speak to lots of different clubs because, like, where I've been at Blues Focus now for 2 seasons, you get the Championship and now League One, so plenty of different clubs. And yeah, pleasure to speak to yourself. And finally, a score prediction.
Which what? Both games or just the EFL?
If you want, yeah. We'll say Tuesday first and then Sunday.
Let's get to the EFL game. I'm going to go for, like last year when we won it, 2-1 Posh.
2-1 Posh. Yeah, your cup final prediction might be different based on the outcome on Tuesday, so we'll leave it till the podcast later in the week to give your prediction for that.
Yeah, brilliant. No, the top one, Sam. We'll see. I think it'll be a good game. Not just saying that for the sake of it. I think you obviously play good for a week on our day, depending on which one turns up. Hopefully, I think nice big pitch, a bit like last year, we'll turn up. And I think it'll be a good game if people watch it. Like I said, the neutrals and that on Sunday. I don't know what other games on. They might see, it's only EFL trophy, but it's the FA Cup for the lower leagues, isn't it? And it's Wembley. It's going to be packed, mainly down to you guys, and it'll be brilliant. I'm really looking forward to going.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for your time, Rob. And we'll have plenty of podcast episodes and whatnot coming out in the build up to the final. So make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And most importantly, keep right on.
Brilliant.